Welcome back to Education Matters. Did you correctly answer E, all of the above? Nationally, teachers say they have felt the impact of all the changes listed, with changes to the teacher evaluation system as the most common change, followed by changes to their curriculum. Joining us now to continue our discussion about education policy issues is Tracy Zimmerman. Tracy is the Executive Director of the North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation. That is a group that is focused on making sure that every child in North Carolina has access to high-quality early childhood education. And next to her is Bruce Mildwurf. Bruce is the Associate Director of Government Relations for the North Carolina School Boards Association. There are, I believe, 116, I looked it up, school boards across the state. And so you represent all of them, which, and of course, these issues that we're talking about have a big impact on the local school boards and county commissions, as we just heard. Tracy, I want to start with you. We were just talking about the K-3 class size mandate with our first two guests. Now, your group has, and others, have expressed concerns about the impact that this mandate may have on pre-K and early childhood. How does that happen?
Yeah, so first I do want to say that it's good that the General Assembly is paying attention to kindergarten through third grade. Those years have long been sort of a little neglected because they weren't tested grades, and so we know that smaller class size is certainly a good thing. However, there's also a finite number of classrooms. There are a certain number of teachers that are in the pipeline, and there are huge capacity issues to make this happen. So if you have NC pre-K classrooms in a public school, and they need a classroom for smaller class size, you can't just magically make a new classroom appear. Something has to give. And that's what we're starting to hear. We've talked with superintendents and others across the state who are really thinking about, is pre-K, which is not a mandate, something that I have room for if I have to make space for
and that's a great point, right? Because the K-3 class size caps, the hard per classroom cap, is a law. They have to fill, but if they have to go, we had Superintendent Ray Spain on a few weeks ago, and he was really concerned about this, and he said, I fought for years to get pre-K in Warren County, and I'm afraid I'm gonna have to get rid of it just for space.
Exactly, space and teachers. I want to highlight that as well, because you have a certified teacher who has a BA in education in a pre-K classroom, and so those teachers also will be needed for the K through to fill those classrooms. So you have a growing pool of teachers you're going to need to pull from, and that pool does not necessarily exist.
Right. Bruce, school boards across the state have been hearing about this issue for a couple of years. They've been talking to their peers on the county commissions. They've been hearing from their school superintendents. What are they telling the association? What are y'all working on with the General Assembly?
Oh, I mean, a whole slew of things. One thing I want to add after what Tracy just said is, we hear that this is a K-3 issue, an enhancement teacher issue. This is a system-wide issue, right? It's pre-K to 12th grade, and it affects everyone. One thing that we're hearing, and we did a survey among all the school districts, heard back from about 30%, and just hearing from those 30%, there are dozens of K-5 classrooms that last year had a unfilled position, not just during the first week or the first month, in March.
Permanent substitutes,
March,
basically. You
had long-term subs in dozens of classrooms. And when we hear about this teacher shortage, where are they going to come from, number one? You have Wake County. They need hundreds of teachers. I'm not really too concerned about Wake County because, well, they're not going to go to other states.
Right.
They're going to go to Franklin County, Harnett, Lee, Wilson. And so now you have all these other districts in the lurch. I mean, that's one thing. And then as far as the classroom space, when you reduce class sizes, you need more classrooms. Timing is a huge issue.
Right.
So they need to know how many classrooms they're going to get, and it takes time. One thing that Tracy said, and I do want to repeat it, we all support smaller class sizes. It is a good thing. But you can't just do it in isolation.
Right. And that's what we keep hearing, and that's what we've tried to make the point on this show when we've had other guests on, is it's positions and it's also space. And all of those things take funding and they take time. And it seems like we don't have either of those things right now.
Well, I think that's right, and I think like any project, if you will, this is about growth, right? If you want to grow something, so you want more, you want to have fewer smaller class sizes. It's about how do you grow your system, if you will. You have to plan for it. You have to have stages that help you get there, right? So we need to think about, what do we need to do to build the classroom space? What do we need to do to build the capacity and the teacher pool? Which, by the way, goes well beyond pre-K through 12. We have it in childcare, where we need highly qualified teachers. And so what is our long-term plan, if this is our goal to have smaller class sizes, to achieve that?
Right. Speaking of long-term, Bruce, I want to shift gears a little bit.
Okay,
on the bond. Go ahead, you can add in, then I want to talk about the bond.
The General Assembly is starting to look long-term, and they are
Yes.
putting policies in place to bring more teachers online.
Right.
But then they're reducing the class sizes well before you have those policies coming into place.
Okay.
So if nothing else, we should all be shooting for smaller class sizes, but let's look at the entire picture. And if those teachers are coming on in a few years, well, let's do it all together in a big picture way where it can be successful,
Right.
where we're not creating and setting principles and these systems, setting them up to fail.
Right. Your school boards don't have taxing authority, so they can't raise revenue, but they're the counties are responsible for school buildings, infrastructure. This has affected this too. School Board Association making a big push this year on school bonds and school buildings.
That is one of our priorities, and it is the single top priority for county commissioners. And that's what we're talking about in the K-3 class size. We need to look in totality. And so if we need more classrooms, before this issue even came up, statewide, over the next 5 years, we're looking at an $8 billion need for school construction. Whether it's because you have schools crumbling, they're old, they need to be bigger, they need to be updated. And so tying K-3 in with the infrastructure, we are looking and asking, there have been 2 bills already filed in the House and in the Senate by members in the majority who say that we need a statewide bond, $1.9 billion, just to give locals a kickstart
Right. Well,
with these classrooms.
Lots of issues, not lots of time left. So thank you both for being here today. We're going to keep talking about these issues. I hope you'll both come back as this session or whatever in the next session. And of course, we still have a short regular session in May. So thanks for what you do, and thanks for helping us understand these issues a little bit better. After the break, this week's Leadership Spotlight.